Well, there's just weeks to go before voters in America decide whether Donald Trump gets to stay in the White House for another 4 years. As the election campaign heats up, the president's been hit by claims he's hardly paid any income tax. According to an investigation by the New York Times, Mr. Trump paid just $750 in federal income taxes in the year he was elected and didn't pay any income tax at all in 10 of the 15 years before he became president. A White House spokesperson says it is a bogus story, but could the allegations make a difference in the election? Well, joining me now is Nicole Brenner-Schmitz, a Democratic strategist for MBS Strategies and a Republican strategist and host of 13-Minute NewsHour, Bobby Eberle. Thanks for being with us. Nicole, let's start with you. I mean, it's just interesting timing, isn't it? It comes just before the first debate. How much of a difference could it make to the debate and the election?
Well, I mean, the reality is that only about 6% of Americans are undecided in this election, and only over 2% of them live in the 11 states that are really toss-ups right now. But Donald Trump won a state like Michigan with only 10,000 votes. So even if just 1% of the electorate is swayed by this, it can make a huge difference in the outcome of this election.
Yeah, Bobby, I mean, do you agree with that? I guess it's the last thing he would have wanted just before the debate. It does give Joe Biden a golden opportunity to put him on the defensive.
Well, right. Nicole's right in that some of these states, you know, the states that are in play, there's very few of them. There's razor thin margins. But I think this could actually work in the president's favor. In 2016, we had the same thing. Leading up to the debate, all of a sudden they dropped this bogus tax story. His taxes have been investigated on left-wing media in the United States, MSNBC. They looked at 2005 where he paid $38 million in taxes. Now they dropped this the day before the debate. I really think that he can use it in his favor. He came out strongly today on Twitter saying how bogus this story was. And I just think it gives more ammunition because over here, people have such a bad impression of the media now, and this just adds more to it.
Right. I mean, the New York Times are standing by their story, and I guess the headline will be this $750 in tax in 2 straight years. You think he can just bat that away, do you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, as he pointed out, they don't dig into all of the stuff. One of the things, the New York Times didn't point out that there was anything illegal. So they're trying to paint this picture that here's this guy and he's paying so little in taxes. They don't go into the fact of depreciation or deferments or tax credits, anything like that. None of them get in. It's just this headline that they're trying to push. And the president can very well defend this. I think he will do a strong job. And it just shows how desperate the media are. One thing, to publish this information is illegal. To obtain it and use it is illegal. This is private, personal, financial information. So right there, the New York Times should be investigated. But again, they did this in 2016. It didn't go anywhere. And with the public's perception of the media, I think this is a winner, actually, for Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, look, the New York Times, I'm sure, would argue it's in the public interest. But Nicole, you know, he has a point there because Donald Trump said it shows I'm smart, didn't he, in 2016? And perhaps that's a sign of what he's going to say. He might argue he's done nothing illegal, that he can say the system allows it. And I guess he can then point to the jobs created by his businesses.
I mean, I think we can expect that will be his message, and that's what he will continue to stand behind, that he's paid state taxes and that he's not broken the law. But what I think that the Biden campaign can do is highlight that there is a problem with taxes in America. There's a problem when corporations get these kind of breaks, but hard-working Americans are paying 35 times that on average. So I think he can lean into his economic message and what he wants to make sure happens, which is not loopholes and tax breaks for the uber wealthy and the Park Avenue of this country, but for the folks who come from places like Scranton, and continue his Park Avenue versus Scranton message.
I mean, Bobby, it's a point. Will the American voter relate to, you know, a president talk of, you know, hundreds of millions in debt and, He's supposed to be a billionaire. It does reveal, I suppose, a pretty inept businessman, if you believe this stuff, loaded down with debt and doing everything possible to avoid taxes.
Right. Well, Nicole brought up the strong messaging that the Biden campaign will likely push. And it's a tough message because the media and the Democrats reinforce this message. It's always about the working class versus the business owners. They try to create this conflict. Yet, if you go back and look at what actually happened with the tax reform that President Trump first put out, you have large corporations like FedEx and AT&T and others. What are the first things they did? They passed it along to the employee. They said, wow, we get this huge tax cut, bringing the tax rates down where they should. We're going to pass it along to the employees. Employees don't have jobs just from the grace of God. There has to be corporations, business owners that employ these people. They have to work together. And President Trump's message from the beginning has been so strong in lifting up the middle class. Middle class wages have gone up. Unemployment has gone down under this president. And I think even with coronavirus, it's a winning message on the economy.
But his big message, Bobby, when he came in was he was in Washington to drain the swamp, to sort out a corrupt system. And here he is using every possible loophole, if you believe the New York Times, to avoid paying tax.
Well, the tax law is the tax law. And someone would have to be crazy to say, oh, you can deduct X from your taxes and then not do it. I mean, I try and do that. Everyone tries to do that. They look at the tax law. If it's super complex, they've got their accountant there trying to get the best deal they can based on the laws as written. President Trump continues, as you said, to try and drain the swamp. And we see how hard that is. He's being attacked on every end from these deep state bureaucrats that don't want to go. They don't want things reformed. And that is a very tough job for the president.
Yeah, I mean, Nicole, we've seen already that not much damages Trump. We had the Access Hollywood tapes about the treatment of women, the Stormy Daniels saga. I mean, not really much of it damaging him. Do you think this will?
Well, I think this goes back to there is a finite number of voters that are undecided. And I do think that they are looking at their own economics. I would disagree with Bobby that everybody has an accountant that they can go to help them through a complicated, confusing tax code in the United States. And I would also argue that these corporations, the ones where we saw some of the workers' wages go up at a place like AT&T, well, AT&T has a strong union, but a place like Walmart that does not, we did not see these wages rise. So it's not simply that corporate America is giving things to their employees. There is a bargaining union and a union that is arguing to make sure that the workers are being treated fairly. And that's a crucial part of this economic equation for these voters.
Yeah, and just finally on the debate, the two of you, Nicole first. I mean, I guess one of the bigger problems the Democrats had is that, Donald Trump will be trying to, bring out the worst in Biden, some sort of gaffe or some sort of memory lapse. How much of a problem is that?
Well, yes, I think it's very clear that the Trump campaign wants to try and get under his skin or make him sound a little confused. And we know that Joe has a tendency sometimes to say a sentence that he corrects later. But I think that both teams have certainly been, if you believe the media, under intense debate prep. And the Biden team is ready for this line of attack and this bulldog approach that the president will be taking.
Okay, and Bobby, just finally, I mean, the swing states show Biden in front. I think most of the swing states. How important is the debate and how will Trump do?
Well, I think the debates are important. I don't think the Trump campaign needs to spend any time at all trying to elicit a gaffe from Joe Biden. I think he's quite capable of doing that on his own. We even saw that this weekend when he said he served in the Senate starting 180 years ago. So I think Biden's got that under control. A lot of those swing states are within the margin of error and closing. There are states that Biden was prepared to spend media buys on that he's not doing now. So I think the race is definitely tight, but people, those crucial undecideds that Nicole mentions, they will be watching, and I think it bodes well for President Trump.
All right. Well, thank you to you both for joining us. We appreciate that debate tomorrow night in the States, Wednesday morning here, about 2 o'clock in the morning here in the UK. Thanks very much indeed.
Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.